This is Dr. Jiu-Jitsu, your go-to podcast for combat sports, military performance, injury prevention, and treatment. Now here's your badass host, Dr. Megan Jimenez.
Bow to your sensei!
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Jimenez. I am an orthopedic surgeon and Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. I'm here with my good friend, Professor Alex Enriquez, or in Portuguese, Enriquez. That's right.
According
I'm Professor
to
Bruno.
Enriquez.
Alex Enriquez. She is a 24-year-old black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Professor Bruno Frazado here at ATOS Atlanta, which we have Professor Bruno's stuff up here for show. She is a very decorated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athlete. She won IBJJF no-gi pans at black belt in 2022. 2023 was IBJJF World's no-gi champ. And then in 2023, toward the end of last year, ADCC East Coast Trials, which was awesome. I loved watching that one. And then she also wrestled throughout high school and college, All-American wrestler, which has really helped, and probably why you like no-gi so much. Yeah.
Definitely has a role in it.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for taking the time out to come
thank
chat.
you. I always love it whenever you're in town visiting. It's always a great time.
We're going to train the next couple of days.
Hell yeah.
Because, of course, I got an Airbnb just to come train.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So you started jiu-jitsu really young. You were 11?
Yeah.
About 11.
Yes.
Which I'm super jealous of because I didn't start until I was like 24, 25 already.
Oh, man.
Residency and definitely harder to commit the time. But at 11, you found love for it. What brought you from just coming in, going through the motions to competitor?
Actually, it was just like a day one thing, and it just like happened on accident. I just started doing jiu-jitsu that summer of 6th grade. My parents were just trying to get me into a hobby, and then
Keep you off the streets.
yeah, right. The hard streets of Alpharetta. And like at the time, my parents were working like 2-3 jobs. You know, we just immigrated from the Philippines, and Steve, my coach at the time, and Brian, both of my coaches, they kind of became like close family friends pretty quickly. And it became like, they'll pick me up from school and take me to the gym. So it just became like a regular routine. And so within like less than a month of training, I was just training almost every day just because it just became part of the schedule. And then Steve was like, let's go compete. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I did my first Naga with like less than a month of experience. And then I was able to win those samurai swords. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
You still have that samurai sword?
Oh, I have so many samurai swords. Like it became like, all right, we're going to collect this many. Yeah. I was like, I want that design. I want the snakes.
You didn't even care about jiu-jitsu. You just wanted the sword.
It was all about the swords.
That's funny.
This is what Naga does to kids. They just arm little kids with dull samurai swords.
All right, so tell me about where you started and then how you kind of ended up at ATOS.
Yeah, so I started jiu-jitsu at Knuckle Up Fitness at the age of 11 in Alpharetta, Georgia, under Professor Steve Mitchell. And I went through the kids system all the way to my brown belt. And that was about COVID year of 2020 was when things were getting difficult at the gym that I was at, and then we weren't sure if my professor Steve Mitchell was gonna stay teaching because he was starting a family, he had other jobs, and we didn't know what was gonna happen with the world. And it just so happened that we lived already in Marietta because of school at Life University, and so we were driving by like the street, and then all of a sudden we saw an ATOS sign over here, and we already knew who Bruno Frazado was. I've known him. I've taken a seminar from him, and I just love the way he teaches. So over COVID, we chatted. We started taking privates, like secret privates under.
Yeah.
And so it kind of just happened like that. But we always kept an open line of communication with Steve. Like, Steve's like my jiu-jitsu dad, even till this day. Like, he's definitely like a second father to me. And so we all kind of agreed, like, with the next steps of my career where I was still wanting to become a professional athlete, or at least, like, looking towards that path, that it would have been a good choice for me.
What advice do you have to people who are in that kind of dilemma where, or maybe they just want to step up their game or want to change gyms? Maybe there's more females in another gym, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And
100%.
How do you recommend people navigate that because the other option sometimes is people quit jiu-jitsu because they're just not as happy, or they're not being, it's just not the environment, right? Because one gym doesn't fit everyone. So how do you recommend people do that?
It's definitely a super sensitive topic. Even for myself, that whole gym switch, even though I feel like it was as amicable as possible, I struggled with it emotionally for about like 2 to 3 months. Like, in secret, Faye and I were both struggling with it, but we didn't talk about it because we were like, oh, we felt like we made the right decision, but like we were like crying in the shower secretly, like we're
That's
like
the best place to cry.
Yeah,
in the car driving or in the shower.
100%, I think, all the time. And so it was tough, but you know, I always went with the thought of like, you know, I didn't want to burn any bridges. Everything that Knuckle Up has done for me since, you know, I was very young was always, it helped me become, you know, the young adult I am now. And I've always been very thankful for that. I just kept an open line of communication with them. And regardless, it's still, you know, of course it's going to hurt feelings, but, you know, I was very honest and open about everything. And so it made the switch easier because I wasn't trying to hide anything. I wasn't lying about anything. So I was just honest about them, and luckily, unfortunately, I had, you know, support from both sides in terms of, you know, my old gym and then the new gym I was coming from. They were all very supportive. Even Bruno was very understanding about the whole switch. I think I was in like limbo of searching for a gym for about like 2 months or so. So it wasn't like an immediate switch and whatnot. It was me figuring it out, figuring out what I wanted out of the gym I wanted to be at in terms of, you know, training partners, the way I wanted to do my, you know, trainings and what I was looking for out of a coach going forward in my personal career. So
awesome.
There was a lot of factors about it, but yeah.
Well, it's good advice, and it's good for people to consider and have adult conversations.
100%,
and not just, you know, switch
not just
without
like
saying anything.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it's a tough conversation.
The jiu-jitsu community is very small, and no matter where you go, it's very small. Every state is very small, so it's just if you decide to burn your bridges there, it's gonna easily catch up to you at the new gym that you're at. You know,
for sure. All right, so you compete a lot. And one of the big things that I talk about is like mind and body, that connection. I think for so long, I was a culprit of just going physical body. And it was like, you hurt, you are stressed. It doesn't matter. Just bury your head in the ground. And you can't really live that way. You can't do life that way, let alone try to compete that way. So what mindset tips do you have for people? What do you do to prepare for competition with all the anxiety? I mean, I guess I'm assuming, but I think most people probably have anxiety.
Yes, with competition.
I've met a couple people that say they don't, but there's got to be some.
There's got to be a little bit at least. Like even for those people that they say that they don't, I predict that they probably their competition schedule is very, very, like when I was in the wrestling season, collegiate wrestling or high school is probably when I experienced the least amount of anxiety because it was, other than it was so physically draining, we were having meets, tournaments, whatever it was, every like Wednesday and weekend. So it was so consistent that it was just like, it just became part of the schedule and it doesn't seem like there's this whole build up towards it. So even with jiu-jitsu, like I compete maybe once to twice a month, if that. And the more often I did it, the less nerves I felt during. So it just became part of routine. But even if I take like a month or two off of competition and I go back to it, I definitely feel nervous. And it's just, now I've gotten to the point where, you know, I've been able to control, not so much control my nerves, but like direct them in the way that, you know, I just know that the nerves are like, it's my body just priming itself for war, essentially.
Do you have a routine or anything that you do that people can do before they compete?
It's more so, I don't really do a lot. I've been asked a lot, like, do you listen to music or do you have any like mantras or whatnot? I actually don't. When I go to tournaments, I like to fully involve myself in the environment. I go there like maybe 2 hours before, 1.5 to 2 hours before, because I have a really long warm up. I soak in the sound so that like my body is just like, okay, it's used to the loudness or whatever. A lot of my calmness comes from the pre-tournament of the preparation. Like I feel confident through the studying I've done, the training, and knowing that I'm already as prepared as I can be, so that, there's nothing else to worry about. Like, you've done all the work, so there's no reason to be nervous. When wins and losses, I've gotten to the point where, yes, now it's about, like, the wins and losses do matter at that high level, in terms of rankings, but I also try to look at competition now as like a feedback mechanism of like, okay, I, do this well, or I needed to work on that, what could I have done better, stuff like that. But in about like 45 minutes before competition, 45 to 30 minutes, I start warming up. I do a lot of dynamic mobility, and then I go with, my training partner, and I start just moving around like kind of regular roll stuff. Or if there's a specific super fight that I train for, it's going to be those specific things that we've been working on during the camp. And I just try to build a really good sweat to where I'm almost in like my second win, so that I don't have like an adrenaline dump.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm not eating a lot. I probably eat in the morning. I do eat a lot more than I feel other competitors that I've talked to, other female competitors that I've talked to leading up to the tournaments. I'm always kind of snacking, but I take simple carbs like fruit leathers, honey sticks, something that, will give my body the energy it needs, but I'm not sitting there like digesting food.
Yeah, quick hits.
Yeah.
That are going to get you,
Exactly. So.
Nice. All right, awesome. You said that, or I read in your bio, that you went from training like 5 to 6 times a week, daily, or a couple times just once, to like 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah.
But we've also talked about injuries, overtraining, overuse, and how have you balanced that when you are training so much?
Oh man, so I feel like I did everything that I wasn't supposed to do, or or wrong in the beginning, and then I got injured and I had to get surgery, whether it was my shoulder in high school or my knee in college, and it was all from overtraining. And I ended up having to have surgery, and also cutting weight in high school, like high school wrestling. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just eating bananas and protein bars for
like dangerous weight cuts.
Yeah, it was
dehydration.
It was just lack of knowledge, lack of education. And once I did everything wrong, then I was able to, I had the right support system, and I was able to educate myself. I learned that, after my second surgery on my knee in college, my freshman season of college at Life University, was when I realized, okay, I really need to be on top of my active recovery. And so the biggest thing that allowed me to train from 1 time a day to like multiple times a day and still feel at the peak level, like how a 24-year-old should feel, is that I realized, and Bruno, Professor Bruno attests to this too, because when I switched gyms, it was before I was really like burning myself to the ground every training session. It was like super intense every training session. Now my training sessions, the intensity is not, it's probably moderate. Most of them
like
moderate.
60-70%.
Exactly. It will go light to moderate. And a lot of it is about developing new skills. We're all about like developing new skills, being very technical, being as well-rounded as we can. And our job as a professional athlete is doing our strength and conditioning outside the gym, and you're responsible for that. So, my strength and conditioning coach is Mo Travis. And I knew her from Knuckle Up, my old gym, and she's a CrossFit Level 2 instructor. She was a Muay Thai IKF world champ. She's a Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so she knows what's going on. She knows what my body is, going through when I'm training all the time. She programs everything for us, and it's so built in. Like, even though I'm saying I'm training 2 to 3 times a day, part of those training sessions is already active recovery. It's like built in during my week. And I noticed that even though I'm training more, I feel like I'm training smarter. Like, I feel like I'm recovering so much better. The amount of sleep I get, my diet, my nutrition is so much better than it was when I was in high school.
But you're still so young to be knowing this, because when I started around your age, right? I got 10 years on you. So I started around your age, but I was of that mentality of like, just beat the shit out of yourself. Like, if you're not training 100%, you're not training, right? And it was not the right mentality, because I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh, here's how I look left, right?
Yeah. I gotta turn my whole body.
I gotta. So you're super lucky, and like that's awesome that you're doing it now. You know, figuring that out now.
No, I feel really fortunate to just, you know, I started young enough so that I made all the mistakes, but I'm still young enough to where I can learn from those mistakes and really benefit and use it to my advantage.
Saying I'm old.
Yeah. No. Older.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's all so much goes into it. I feel like I've found a really great support team of, you know, I have a PT, I have a chiro, I have a strength and conditioning coach, I have a nutritionist, I have all the things that you're supposed to have as a professional athlete, so to speak, in any sport.
As a person, right? Just like walking around, everybody should be doing a little bit of training, not just professional athletes.
100%,
and like, people don't realize how much all this catches up to them.
Oh yeah, I work at a restaurant part-time on the weekend, and it's like I just talk to my coworkers who live, you know, normal lives, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, no wonder your body always hurts. Like, you don't do anything for your body. You don't just the simple working out, like maybe 20-30 minutes a day. Sleeping. Yeah. And then the way they eat, of course, and being at a restaurant is like, you know, they're always just eating all the junk food,
fried in vegetable oil. And
exactly.
Yeah. So what kind of active recovery do you do?
I have some like yoga. I go to the sauna a lot, sauna/ice bath. I do contrasts of that in the same sessions, and that was like a love-hate relationship in the beginning, and now I love it.
I still have love-hate with the ice. Like I
ice
do it.
The sauna I love. The ice is where there's the love-hate.
Well, I always say you're not supposed to love it.
No, right? I feel that. Yeah. That's correct.
But afterwards
you feel like euphoric, and that's when you love it, but not during.
Yeah, I always have like good music on after, and I'm like dancing around, having a great time.
No, it's amazing. Yeah. It's like a natural high. And then part of my PT and stuff, I actually just did it today. I had went over to one-on-one physical therapy with Lance Cross. He's my physical therapist, and he's had decades of experience with trigger point dry needling.
Nice.
And that's something that I found earlier last year that has been a game changer. I mean, like literally a game changer that we've added almost weekly. And it'll be insane. I'll have like a severe injury too, where I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to compete in like the end of this weekend. Something like I got hurt that week, and you're like, I messed up. And then I'll go see him, and it's crazy how trigger point dry needling works. It's just the amount of relief, the range of motion I get back, and it's just like, oh, I felt like I wasn't even injured after the 12 hours after being sore from all the dry needling. And on top of that, I mean, Faye herself is a licensed massage therapist. That's why I had to, you know, as soon as we started dating, I was like, I have to keep you.
Oh, that's why you guys got engaged?
You're gonna help me. Yeah. I was like, who's trapping who?
For the massage.
Exactly.
Nice.
But she specializes in MFR, myofascial release, and I feel like that modality of massage has really helped me. So it's just like all of it.
Have you ever had times where you didn't have your cross training, your PT, and you were just training jiu-jitsu since you started?
Yeah, since I started, maybe if we're like on vacation
or you might have noticed a difference.
Oh, 100%. Because then it's like if I don't have like my trigger point dry needling, or if I don't do like my especially stretching, if I don't stretch, if I don't do my
like yoga
weekly
flows
stuff. If I'm not doing my active recovery, I feel like I'm in college and I'm just like hurting all the time. My quality of sleep just tanks. Like I can't sleep good. It was such a game changer for me after my second year of college, when I really got on top of my active recovery, that I was like, oh, doing more doesn't always have to be like intensive doing more, but I'm like recovering so much better, and I feel like my energy levels are so much better, and I just feel overall like healthy all the way around. I feel so strong in terms of, you know, my strength and conditioning with Mo. You know, we're doing our correct strength cycles, and I'm always peaking when I need to for competitions, and then I can recover, and we're deloading and doing all the stuff that we're supposed to do.
Nice. To date now, what's been your worst injury, and how did you come back from it?
I'd say actually I've had some neck injuries, but when I actually had to get surgery on my meniscus, I had a bucket handle tear in 2021.
And the bucket handle is like I know kind of what a bucket handle is, but for people listening,
you can explain.
Yeah, your meniscus, like that little disc that's in the inside of your knee, it kind of flips and your knee gets stuck. So a lot of people will come in and say, I can't bend my knee.
Yeah, it was just stuck like this, like a right angle. And it was because, it was my first season of college wrestling. And the coaches were still actually learning. Like the next season, they did not do this. But they were running us into the ground, like literally running us like we were having the same practices as the collegiate track team. We got to the track before them and we were finishing after them. And we're like, why are we running more than the actual track team, the collegiate track team? And plus we were doing this with weights like yoga balls, med balls, stuff like that. And it was insane. And so I definitely had underdeveloped hamstrings. And so I actually ended up getting hurt by myself. Like on the next day, my hamstrings, I like woke up and I was like, I can't bend my hamstrings, like they're so tight. And then we went to we had the mat practice and we were just warming up, and so we were having line drills, and they were asking us to do a bear crawl to a knee slide or so. And so I bear crawled, and as soon as I slid my knee across, it popped really loud, and I instinctively dropped to my butt and tried to kick out my leg because I felt like something got stuck. Yeah, and I dropped, and I was like, oh, and then I looked around, and because I guess I was just like in shock, and then I was like, I can't move, and I just like raised my hands up and like looked at my coach. I was like, help me.
Like a baby.
Yeah, I was like, help me. And so they took me downstairs to the ATR, the athletic training room. They put some stem on me and some heat packs, and they're like, okay, just wait for it to relax. And throughout the rest of the day, I still couldn't move my leg. My leg was just stuck. And then I got home and I was like, I can't sleep. Faye actually gave me some muscle relaxers and whatnot, but it was so painful. Like the whole, the next 3 days, I've never had like really bad knee injuries. So I was talking to Faye. I was like, I think my knee is really messed up. Yeah. I was like, I don't know why. I still can't bear weight on it. I couldn't extend it or flex it at all. Fortunately, her massage therapist at the time, Ray Long, is also specializes in MFR. She has over like 1,000, actually, I'm not exaggerating this, she has documented over 1,000+ hours of continuing education in MFR, in myofascial release. She teaches some of the courses now too. And so that's who actually got Faye involved in starting to study MFR. Faye's like, you need to go see Ray and whatnot. And I was terrified because I was like, I don't think anybody can touch my leg. I can't even move my leg. Like, how am I? And then and it was crazy. She went to see me, she took my leg and she was just guiding it. It wasn't hurting. And she was guiding it through the motion that I heard it. And I was like, I didn't explain to her how I hurt my leg. Yeah. And I was like, how did you know? Like that was, and she was just like, your body was just guiding me through it. And after that weekend, after time of that session, my leg was starting to release. I was able to start walking. Then I was running, and I hadn't gotten the MRI back yet from the school. They had to wait. They had a protocol. I think it was like a week or 2 weeks. And so I got back to weight bearing and all that. And then I was basically running, jumping. I was back to normal. I just didn't have the last end range of motions. Like I couldn't fully extend it. I couldn't fully bend it. And then they got back and they're like, oh, you have a bucket handle tear. You have to do surgery. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
But it was crazy how much that MFR helped me during that time to go from not being able to move my leg or be weight bearing to, okay, I'm actually almost pretty much normal. I just, didn't have whatever was stuck.
After surgery, you went back to wrestling.
Yes.
How did you, so I recently had ACL surgery, and now thinking about competition, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. What did you do? What tools did you do? And this is, I'm asking for me too, a lot of this, because I want to know what tools you used to get you back to competing and feel safe and feel confident with your new knee or with what had been repaired.
Honestly, I probably went, I did actually, the ATR trainers at the time, and I feel like a lot of collegiate athletes, it's the downfall of collegiate sports is you have just a short timeline to do everything and, eligibility. But I did go back early. I did actually, honestly, I think it was 8 months, even for just a meniscus repair. Like at 6 months, I was already like back on the mat, but it was still taking me like an hour or like 30 minutes to warm up and like actually being able to squat fully and get that range of motion back. And then I was moving well. They kind of pushed me back into I think that was my first competition back was collegiate nationals. And I didn't do well there, but I was able to do it and my knee held up. Luckily, the school was, covering everything, paying for everything. And, I was still on the same schedule as all the athletes. So I was going to the strength training room, all the same as they were. And then after that nationals, we went back to jiu-jitsu because it was off season. And it took me about another couple months to actually start feeling more normal. I started training again, strength training with Mo. And
so that helped your confidence?
Yes. I feel like, when you have a personal trainer that you could trust, she knows it because she's been through injuries too. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, okay, I've had something similar. This is what we're going to do. We're going to take our time. And over time, I started gaining the muscles back in my legs. My motion was starting to come back. And before I knew it, and we just continued that strength training. So now I even feel like bulletproof with my legs. I feel like the surgery helped me in a way. If I was doing everything right now, I feel like my legs are pretty bulletproof. Like my surgery knee does get sore sometimes when I overdo it, but I never had a scare where I think I'm going to hurt myself again.
So, what's next for you?
What's next? West Coast Trials.
Nice.
Yeah, the one that actually counts to get into ADCC. So we'll have that
coming up
in March.
Yeah, cool. And where can people find you?
On Instagram at Enriquez 218 here at Atos Atlanta.
That's right.
Come through, come train, please.
Super welcome being here. I always love coming and training. All right, well, thanks so much for all the info.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to train during the week.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
An Ironic Media production. Visit us at ironickmedia.com.